And I am alive. I have seen Sonic 1 and 2 many months ago. Therefore, I'm like, you know what? I will just link both movies in the description below. And today, true topics are actually Knuckles TV show and Sonic 3. I ended up watching that godly awful TV show and that great movie. So how can these two coexist within the same universe? I am wondering. I am baffled. Let's go to the intro now. So here we are. Many months after I've seen Knuckles, Sonic 3 came out. So let's start with Knuckles. The one thing that's kind of far away in my memory. This is the mainstream movie reviews number 12. We are near the end of 2024 already. So Knuckles, okay. What did I think overall? Well, I had hopes because I did enjoy Sonic 1 and 2. They are basically the premise, or I should say, the intro to Knuckles. Knuckles is a sequel. It's like Sonic 3, but it's not really Sonic 3 because that's about um, Knuckles, like the title says. And I feel like Sonic 1, I had a blast. It's kind of far in my memory, so I can't remember what grade I gave to Sonic 1. But I remember being more entertained by Sonic 2. Sonic 2 was, however, a worse movie. And I still had a lot of hopes. I was like, you know what, Knuckles, it's the new thing. And when I have seen Knuckles, I had seen prior Fallout. And Fallout, I had a blast. That was a great TV show we already covered in the past. So I was like, you know what, Knuckles, you will be good. Was I wrong? Was I so wrong? Knuckles was trash. And let's just break it down episode by episode. We will have bunch of spoiler. So be advised. The entire thing will be spoiled. Not that it matters that much because that was trash. So the first episode of Knuckles, um, I had many issues. My first issue with that first episode would be acting felt off. That was terrible. It really felt like a TV show, and not in a good way because sometimes TV shows do have really good acting, but here it didn't. No, it didn't. Unfortunately. The second issue I had, the humor with the bounty hunter felt off. Number three, unfunny workout scene. Number four, dialogue was weird between the agent and the tech guy. It didn't feel like humans talking. It felt like a script or some shit. People cannot aim was my fifth issue. And my sixth issue would be inconsistency in the super strength. Knuckle could break the bowling alley. Guns, but no regular human being. The human actually tanked the punch and was still able to fight back. And yeah, these were my issues in Knuckle first episode. I had 6 issues, but they did wait. It was painful. Um, that was a rough start for this first episode. Now, I will admit there's a few things that were enjoyable. Like Knuckle arc into accepting the new world started with him rejecting the place. Um, the car scene was the highlight that Knuckles is a freak, is kind of like the fish out of water or something like that. Um, and outside of that, I will admit these episodes were short and things went by kind of quick. I won't go too deep into everything, otherwise, it will be a reading fest, and I don't think it's that entertaining. But based on what I remember, the action was enjoyable, and Knuckle was really cool. but it was in such a bad show, it felt like a diamond in the rough, unfortunately. So yeah, this episode was not great. It wasn't the worst thing ever. I've seen worse, trust me. There's worse out there. But this first episode for me was a 5.5 out of 10. And I I will tell you all this. Most of my issues in the entire show are just rinse and repeat because they keep coming back. The writing is kind of shit with this show. It's sad. Now, episode 2, based on my notes, was slightly better, but only because it had less issues. So now we are on to episode 2 of Knuckles season 1. My first issue would be the guy failing his plan. It wasn't funny, but it tried to be, like a lot of things in that show. Number 2, not funny phone call when being held stage. Number 3, the cliffhanger tried to be funny when it wasn't. And number 4, the villains were weak. Like, really weak. And there's so much emphasis on them because they get so much screen time because they're the bad guys. It makes sense, right? Can you work on having better villains? Is that too much asked? Hopefully not. So these were my issues with episode 2. Um, Knuckle growth into enjoying music after hating it so much was kind of cool. So again, Knuckle is the OG. He is the one that carries the show on his shoulders, and it's very funny because he is a CGI character basically, and he's better than the human characters. Yeah, Idris Elba is a great voice actor, I think, based on Knuckles, because Knuckles is just entertaining. Again, is cool. And in that episode, we had Wade's Power Fantasy. That was kind of entertaining, I admit. And the action was cool. And the main character, well, actually, the sidekick of Knuckles, I should say, Wade, taking any wins was cool. And I think the dynamic between Wade and Knuckle was somewhat enjoyable. So it's not all bad, but it's rough. And this second episode is a 6.5 out of 10. So the bar is really low, right? And now we enter the territory of episode 3. Um, and I read through my notes, and that one, oh my, that one is bad. My first issue with episode 3. Opening sequence had terrible dialogue that tried art to be funny when it wasn't. Number 2, acting from side characters was bad. Number 3, the Joeish obsession was so annoying. It made the dialogue awfully bad. I remember this shit. And I've seen that show like 4 months ago. It's not a good thing. When you remember your show for being that trash and on the nose and poorly written 4 months later, there's something wrong. Because I've seen that TV show around the same time as The Acolyte, and I remember it much better for the wrong reason. So yeah, trash Knuckle TV show, you're trash. I don't know. I don't get it. Um More bad dialogue throughout the dinner scene. Dinner tried hard to be funny when it wasn't. The unbearable characters were in fact one-dimensional. 7 more inconsistency in super strength. Despite blowing up walls, he didn't break any bones. Yeah. Um that's the show for ya. These were my issues with episode 3. Now, I will admit there's still a bit of good. The flashbacks were entertaining. Wade was entertaining. The action was great. Um, so when there was action, it was cool. And it's unfortunate because some of the best action in that TV show is wasted in such a terrible episode. It's like a diamond in the rough. I feel like I repeat myself because this is all I feel with the TV show. They did great job at making the mother unbearable because they did that in purpose. But hey, that's still not that great. Wade wanting to reconnect with his dad was kind of cool. That was his character arc. Kind of does it, even if the dad is a prick, because Hollywood likes the bad dads, right? It's on the wall. It's shite. So this episode for me was a 5 out of 10. Thus far, it was the worst one, and yeah, do better. I know you can do better, Paramount. So now, coming next, we got episode 4, and with episode 4, we are like half done with that TV show because I think that was a 6 episode shenanigan. I think it was. Yes. And I'm sorry about that. I didn't have time to cut the mic, but yeah, episode 4. Okay. Based on my notes, it was the best one. But the bar was so low that I I don't think that's such an exploit. It's not like the most remarkable thing ever. I'm sorry, but it's not. Um so yeah, let's start off with the 3 issues I had that episode. The bounty hunter wasn't funny at all. Number 2, the streaming contest wasn't funny despite trying hard. Number 3, don't look at me wasn't funny at all. And I will tell you this. I feel like this show is for kids, but only for them. If you're an adult, there's no value to it because it's all trash and nothing caters toward you. And it's unfortunate because right now, as this stream is happening, I am watching Skeleton Crew, a Disney Plus TV show. Aim at kids, done well. I like Skeleton Crew. The humor was great. I talk about Knuckles right now. That shit is dog shit. It's like night and day. Complete opposite. It boggles my mind. It's like Knuckle is some of the worst thing I've seen. And right after Knuckle, we will have a Sonic 3 discussion. And Sonic, I won't spoil it, but Sonic, I have it in high regards. That third movie in the trilogy, peak. I will leave it at that. But now we talked about Knuckles, and Knuckles suck. Knuckle is trash. It's aimed at kids, it's for kids, and it's not good. Like, even if it's aimed at kids, if I ever have kids in the future, I will never show them that show. It's not a good show. It's just not. I will rather watch Skeleton Crew with them than whatever this Knuckle trash was. So yeah, I guess we will highlight my likes because this was the best episode so far, even if the bar is really low. Entertaining start. The car sequence wasn't funny. Oh wow. It's funny because that does lower the score there. Hilarious. I had an issue mixed up with my likes. Wow. Okay. Impressive show. That episode got slightly worse. Yeah. I didn't realize that. It's me reading through the notes. I should have maybe read my notes again before this stream. I guess this is part of doing it live, try to improvise and such. I admit the electrocute joke where the family watches Wade getting electrocuted was actually funny. Knuckles' backstory being showed through the musical was entertaining. Very meta commentary on how Wade is a loser. He is probably like past Knuckles. I admit Knuckles riding the bike was funny. So again, Knuckles is the highlight. He's the only decent thing about this show. The rest is dog shit. And I guess that closes off episode 4. Um, episode 4 is a 6.5 out of 10 for me. Um, I thought that was a 7 prior realizing I had an issue hidden. Um, so yeah, I guess now we are ready for episode 5. And episode 5 will be more of the same. You get that, right? Like I I have the same issue. They keep coming back. I had 3 issues with it. More weird dialogue. Number 2, the lead being a 40 years old acting like a 12 years old felt off. Number 3, more bad dialogue and piss poor humor that didn't land in the family reunion. And here I think at that point I just gave up on the show because I only have 3 things I liked. So maybe I zoned out. Maybe I was just putting it somewhere in the background while doing something else. That sounds like me watching Knuckles after being pissed about 4 episodes in. Um, the 3 redeemable qualities. I admit it was funny having Knuckles taking instead of Wade. The bowling was entertaining. The lead connecting with his dad was fun. That's it. This 5th episode is underwhelming in a really shit show. It's a 6 out of 10 for this current episode we are talking about. The final episode, the last one, at last, the pain and suffering and the PTSD can be over with. Episode 6. Coming into it, you know how I felt. This show was a waste of time. This show was terrible. This show was painful. I did sit through it, and I can add regrets. So coming into it, I was like, at least it's the final one, right? So here are the issues with the final nail on the coffin. Stop eating yourself joke didn't land. That's the first issue. The second issue, inconsistency. Super Strength didn't delete or not out the villain. The villain also had crazy plot armor. Number 3, overplayed introduction joke that simply didn't land. Number 4, the monologue joke didn't land. Number 5, the villain weren't consistent in his power level. He could defeat Knuckles, but is defeated by Wade. Yeah, that was weird. Power scaling get all messy and trash. Um, Knuckle is like a monster and he loses, but Wade saves the day because Wade is the main character, not Knuckles. The action was entertaining. Bowling was fine. The main character being respected was cool. The commentator were entertaining. Knuckles was entertaining. Wade no longer being a loser was kind of earned. Overall, this 6th episode is a 6 out of 10. And now we will go into the overall season talk because we covered this trash show in length. Every single episode got spotlight to shine, if we can call it that way. No, we can't, but I will try to be generous, right? So, here is my episode ranking and the issues overall with the entire season and the likes. So, let's start with the ranking. In first place, being the best episode, it was episode 4 with a 6.5 out of 10. It's followed by episode 2 in second place with a 6.5 out of 10. In third place, we got episode 6 with a 6 out of 10. In fourth place, we got episode 5 with a 6 out of 10. In fifth place, we got episode 1 with a 5.5 out of 10. And in sixth place, we got episode 3 with a 5 out of 10. And I vividly remember this episode as being the trash episode where you get to meet the obnoxious, useless family of Wade. That's what that episode is remembered as. So Paramount, if these losers making that TV show are still on your writing team, fire them. You will save some money and maybe you will make better shows in the future. Now, with that being said, let's talk about the overall product now that I destroyed apart each episode. here are the issues throughout the entire season. Number one, horrendous dialogue. Episode 3 was the biggest example of that. Number two, humor didn't work or land. Number three, the villains were weak. Number four, it didn't feel like a TV show because of its pacing and length. It felt like a movie divided into 6 parts. Number five, too much focus on Wade, taking away screen time from Knuckles, a much better character. Number six, bad supporting characters, the mother and sister of Wade. And Wade by its extension, because they all suck, and that show is trash. Now, here are 3 redeemable things about this entire mess. I admit, Knuckle was great. The action and music were fun. Both Knuckles and Wade got great growth. Knuckles started to like Earth and to embrace the culture. Wade went from an unbelievable bad loser to a cool winner. Now there's one thing as a side note. And it's my small politics part, because I feel like I need to inject it because they did in that show. Let's inject politics, folks. I know it sucks, but they did it first. Blame it on them. And I've seen it. So here's the injection. Every man is a villain or a loser. Great message to men. Y'all bad at everything, guys. So it's sad and unfortunate. I wanted to bring this up because I got a younger brother. And when I see entertainment like that, I'm like, it's not good. It reinforces stereotypes. It reinforces toxic behaviors. It tells you you're a man, therefore you're not a worthy being. And it's unfortunate that Hollywood pushes that kind of shit. Really. It's funny because they all claim to want equality, but they don't really do that to men, to women, right? That would be atrocious. That would be disgusting. I do agree that would be wrong doing it. But the sole fact that they are doing it to men and not women shows that, no, equality is not a thing anymore. It doesn't exist. Anyway, Knuckle overall is a trash TV show. It's not the worst thing I've seen this year. I've seen worse. Believe me. Halo season 2 is worse than this. Far worse than this. But yeah, Knuckle is a 5.5 out of 10. And it's really low for me. For some people it's above average, but for me it's bad. If you're under a 6, it's bad. If you're a 6, you're mediocre at best. If you're a 6.5, you're decent. If you're a 7, you're average because you earn my respect. But here, 5.5. It's low. It's low. It's Acolyte level bad. And looking back, I don't know which one is worse. Acolyte or this shit. I don't know. I would need to read through my notes because I do compile everything I do. So now we are kind of done with Knuckles. Let's talk about the bulk of the show. What matters the most? Sonic 3. Because Sonic 3 is the end of a trilogy. Because Sonic 3 is a masterpiece. I adored Sonic 3. There's just so much to tell. I've seen that movie a few hours ago. I am interested to watch it again. I want to go back and watch it again. It's my favorite Sonic movie. Regardless of what would be the grade I would have given to the first one, I think that third one beats it really hard. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of detailed notes because I want to see it in theater. Support your local theater. So let's start off with the discussion. If you can suspend disbelief on people talking in space in the movie, it's amazing. I did suspend disbelief because of the amazing discussion that's the climax of Sonic story arc. After thinking he lost the one he loved and he was almost turned into a vengeful spirit, he didn't lose himself into vengeance. He lost sight of what mattered: friendship he earned it back after teaming up with Shadow. And I spoiled the entire thing, but I told you we would have spoiler. And I reiterate it again. More spoiler here. There's one thing I didn't mark down in my notes. I think it's a bit unfortunate that Shadow dies at the end. It's a bit unfortunate. But it's kind of cool because he went out in a bang, saving Earth from destruction. Like the one guy that was about to destroy Earth, he saved Earth. And what's wonderful about this movie is the characterization. I think the characterization was nailed. And I feel like this movie was more of a Shadow movie than a Sonic movie. Despite Sonic being the main character and having his own character arc, becoming a vengeful one, it felt like a Shadow one. And it was great. Because Shadow is a villain until the end. This movie is solid. It's one of my favorite movie this year. I've seen around 103 movies at that point, and that one is in 10th place right now. It just kicked out Maxine from my top 10. I know there are two very different movies, but hey, this is what happened. So let's read out more of my notes because I feel like there's a lot of other things that are valuable to say. Shadow was peak entertainment. It was a perfect antagonist since his story is a big what if Sonic didn't add his friend and family to cope with the loss of his dear parent as a child. After hitting Art Sonic new parental figure, he realized it was as bad as the people that ended his love interest life. Shadow Arc was realizing vengeance doesn't help healing, and it's through his exchange with Sonic that he realized such thing. And it's also a thing that Sonic realized as well. That's why it's also very much about Sonic. And the friends are merely plot devices because they don't get much growth. Uh we had a Inoko show. It's a bit sad that Tail got kind of put aside because Tail didn't get his own spin-off like Knuckles. So I feel like Tail is mistreated in that franchise. But that's just my 2 cents. It's just me thinking. It's just me talking. Um, Solid movie. Highly recommend. And now again, I got a few other last few things to say. The action was great. The story had art, and many moments were emotional. I had tears in my eyes. It didn't make me cry, but I had tears. I felt stuff when I was watching it. And usually good movies do that to me. Another movie that did that to me this year would be A Real Pain. If you haven't seen A Real Pain, go watch that. Unfortunately, I don't much have time. Maybe I will review it. Maybe not. I don't know. But Sonic 3, I had a blast. I had a great time in the theater. Um, the friendship between Shadow and the kid was very endearing and well made. And the build-up was great. It made sense. And it mattered. And you felt sad when she died. The music and humor were on point. It felt like the perfect closure to the trilogy. I had no issues with the entire movie. And I will also add this. Sometime when you have a character that's just meant to die, they don't really work on the character, and it's kind of sad and it's bad. In this movie, the kid that Shadow fell for was so endearing. She felt like a genuinely cool kid that enjoy making friends. It was great. So seeing them bonding and becoming friends, it was kind of the art of Shadow struggle, because when she lost her, she lost any meaningful connection with others. He realized, dang, I'm alone and people hate me anyway, so let's destroy everything. And Eggman and his father, they are funny. Like, the humor is great again, but they're just a tool to tell that great story about Shadow and Sonic. So overall, Sonic 3, massive hit for me. Great movie, well made. Yeah, it's Sonic in a nutshell. And unfortunately, I don't have much more to say because again, I didn't take that many notes because I was in the theater. So I will give to Sonic 3, the ending of that trilogy, a 10 out of 10. It's well deserved, folks. Well deserved. What did you think of Knuckle if you have seen that shit? If you didn't, don't waste time. Watch other stuff. Um, this year we had Fallout. That's a good one. There's Arcane I want to see. But yeah, Knuckle trash. Sonic 3 great. Sonic 1 and 2 good and average, but still. There are full reviews on my channel for Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. You know where to click. It's in the description below. And with that being said, the next mainstream movie reviews will be the last of 2024. And in 2025, we cover 2025 movies. And guess what? The format will be a bit different. Most of the focus will be on more recent movies, with a few exceptions sometimes with older movies that are linked if we talk about the sequel or a franchise. But outside of that, I will try weekly starting in January to cover only like new releases. So yeah, that's it for this mainstream movie reviews. Sonic 3, I had a blast. See you on the next stream. Take care.